So what happens then? Awareness is first on the list, I guess. Are you just adding that third party information in? Are you pinpointing specific NDCs? Do you have those lists and kind of know where your therapeutic substitution opportunities lie? I mean, what can you do to mitigate that DIR fee?
So, yeah, I mean, there's, like I mentioned, you can switch NDCs because some of these are based on what the AWP of the product is. And just inside of a given GCN, like say you're dispensing metformin 500 milligrams. You can change which metformin you're dispensing because one brand has an AWP of like $18 per 500 tablets, and one of them has an AWP of like $1,000 per 500 tablets. And so if your DIR fee is based on that AWP number, then changing which NDC you bill changes how much DIR fee you pay. That's one example. You can also see about, like you said, therapeutic substitution. So say someone's on losartan and you're losing money on it. You can say, well, losartan's actually not the best drug in this class. Olmesartan actually has substantially more blood pressure reduction. Can we see about switching to that? And it's possible that you would actually go from losing money after the DIR fee to making money, but maybe not. It depends. And so there's also being aware of which of your clients are low-income subsidy members is a big thing as well, because a DIR fee from one plan to another can be dramatically different. One of them can be 5% of what you pay, of what they pay you, and one of them can be 40% of what they pay you.
Oh, wow.
And so if someone's on a low-income subsidy, they can change plans 4 times during the year. And so
Nice.
If Mrs. Jones qualifies for low-income subsidy, you can say, well, Mrs. Jones, look, I'm losing money on this. If it's all the same to you, I would love it if you could switch from this plan to this plan because you have to make sure that you're actually doing this in a way that benefits them, not just you, right?
Sure.
But the reason that you are approaching them is because there's a problem that you're losing money. But then you make sure that they go onto a plan that is beneficial for them, and hopefully it's also beneficial for you. But like just changing from one plan to another can make a dramatic difference. And there are plans that don't charge DIR fees.
Yeah.
And so a lot of our clients at our pharmacy, we've actually switched to HMO plans here because they go to all those doctors and they actually have lower copays there and they don't pay a premium. And to boot, we don't have any DIR fees with that plan. So it's a win-win-win-win-win. And the plan is thrilled to have a new member that is Medicare Advantage versus Part D. So anyway.
Sure. Yeah. So, I mean, really, what's funny is we think about switching plans, there's a focus in September and October. And then, I think a lot of times that's not an option that's revisited throughout the year. That's a really good point. So, part of it is, okay, I've got this contract, and this is what this is the equation I'm trying to survive in. What if it's just a bad deal? Like, what can an independent pharmacy do if they have a contract that's maybe, not as good as the pharmacy they visit down the street? Is there something they can do at that point?
This is probably a reference to a prior podcast that we did, where we talked about the fact that our pharmacy decided to leave our PSAO. So most independent pharmacies use an intermediary to do their third-party contracting called the Pharmacy Services Administrative Organization, or PSAO. And that is beneficial because reading through the contracts is complicated. Going and figuring out which ones to take and which ones not to take is complicated. And a lot of folks just don't want to have to figure it out. So they sign up with a PSAO. we were with the PSAO called LeaderNet for probably 30 years. From when they started and they started pitching it, the Cardinal Show, up until 2020, we were part of LeaderNet. And it served us well. But as I was reading and interacting with other pharmacy owners, I discovered that that a small fraction of people don't use the PSAO at all, and they do all the contracting on their own. And there are some benefits to doing that, because if you do the contracting instead of delegating it to a fourth party, I guess at this point, because it's patient, pharmacy, PBM, PSAO, we're delegating this to a fourth party, then you can choose to reject contracts that are poor. And like, frankly, as I read through some of these contracts, it is absolutely insane that anyone would take them, and yet almost all of the PSAOs accept some of these contracts. Like, just as a point of reference, most pharmacies will hit break even to losing a little bit of money when a contract reads that they'll get paid on brand name drugs, AWP minus 18%. Okay. And so that's about where most pharmacies will break even, or even be losing a little bit of money. If it's more than that, they'll make money. If it's less than that, they'll be breaking even or losing money. And some of these contracts are the AWP minus a 27% discount.
Man.
And so the pharmacy's like guaranteed under that contract to lose 10% of their revenue on a branded drug. So if we're talking Humira, which has like a $6,000 AWP, you're talking losing $600 every single time you fill that prescription under that contract. And that, like, the correct response to a contract like that is to just say, nope, reject it. And yet, because pharmacies are in a market where so much of their business is dependent on a third party, that third party can make the rest of their business that goes through that third party dependent on them accepting those contract terms.
Sure.
And so the pharmacy is forced to either accept the 10% loss on every branded drug they take through that plan, or lose a third of their business. Which
neither of those sound great.
Right. It's a bad it's a bad situation. So we chose to independently contract, and we've rejected several contracts, and we've lost some business as a result. We lost about 11% of our prescription volume the first couple weeks of 2020. And that particular volume, those particular patients have not come back. Some of the volume did come back, because, we had room for more clients, so more people showed up. So we don't accept a lot of the plans that a lot of pharmacies have a huge book of business with. And so that means that like a lot of pharmacies, if you look at advertising, will say, we accept all insurance plans. But from like a marketing standpoint, sure, that's great, because it means that people don't have to figure out whether you take them or not. But from a financial standpoint, like, if you accept every plan, you're losing money, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Well, and if you lose 11% of your prescription volume, but that 11% is not profitable, that's not necessarily hurting your pharmacy. And in fact, really that's the kind of attention that I think draws change, when you disrupt that status quo of, this is the cost of doing business, and allow that to continue. Eventually, I think those are the lines in the sand that start to make the waves break.
Thanks for listening to this clip from Beyond the Scripts, presented by the Catalyst Pharmacy Podcast.
If you enjoyed this episode, please support our channel by liking, subscribing, and clicking the notification bell so that you'll be notified anytime we post new content. To stay up to date with all of the latest independent pharmacy news and content, follow PioneerRx on your preferred social media platform.